This is a picture of Florence Nightingale, a British woman born on the 12th of May, 1820. She is widely regarded as the founder of modern nursing. Many call her the Lady with the Lamp. Her ingenuity and bravery, while caring for wounded soldiers during the Crimean War, saved hundreds of lives. Interestingly, Nightingale also helped shape the uniform used by nurses, particularly the cap. To mark her birth anniversary, May 12th is commemorated as International Nurses' Day. Established in 1974 by the International Council of Nurses, the day also highlights the important role nurses fulfill in healthcare. But what are the challenges faced by this workforce? And why is there a global shortage of nurses?
Have I ever thought about becoming a nurse?
I never thought of that.
No, I never thought of nursing as a profession.
I never wanted to be a nurse.
No, frankly not.
I'd say no.
I have not thought of nursing.
It's kind of a very hectic job, you can say, so that's why.
I'm afraid of needles a lot.
It's a good profession.
It's obviously doctors, they earn more.
I didn't ever think of becoming a nurse at any point of time in my life.
I think whenever you imagine a nurse, you would never imagine a male nurse.
Healthcare services are one of the fundamental sectors of society. Every day across the world, countless individuals visit hospitals seeking medical care. Who do they rely on? Doctors, one might claim. There is little doubt that doctors play a vital role in the healthcare industry. They diagnose and prescribe, but perhaps the backbone of any hospital, the ones who give patients the utmost care day in and day out, are the nurses. They are the unsung heroes of the healthcare system. They spend more time with patients than a doctor. They talk to the patients, listen to their stories, and understand their concerns. Their contact with patients also makes them natural allies and powerful advocates.
Just think that every nurse that we recruit is taking a course in therapeutic touch because we want to give the signal that the nurse is the first contact with the patient. For us, the presence of a nurse is a presence of care.
Really speaking, 80% of the cure is done by the nurses. They are the ones who are really tending to the patient day in and day out. But we don't really necessarily listen to their opinions.
People really think very low of nursing. They think that they don't know anything, they're just coming here, checking the vitals, going back. But I think nursing is more than that. And then we don't only study the disease, but the cause of it. And there is a lot that we know, but we're not able to practice it because, of course, there is a hierarchy that is being followed, that the doctor has to give an order, only then we can do it. And then sometimes, like, even the coordination has to be vice versa. Like, the doctor asks us certain things and then we ask doctor certain things. But rather than understanding that everybody has their own role, people think that if they're in a position, they are dominating. So that shouldn't be. So yeah, this has to be changed.
The healthcare industry is a major employment sector, and nurses constitute the largest population in the health workforce in any country. However, the sector is facing an acute shortage of qualified nurses, which has become a major constraint in providing universal access to healthcare. Approximately 27 million men and women make up the global nursing and midwifery workforce. This accounts for nearly 50% of the global health workforce. Globally, 70% of the health and social workforce are women, compared to 41% in all employment sectors. Nursing and midwifery occupations represent a significant share of the female workforce. There is a global shortage of health workers, in particular nurses and midwives, who represent more than 50% of the current shortage of health workers. For all countries to reach Sustainable Development Goal 3 on health and well-being, WHO estimates that the world will need an additional 9 million nurses and midwives by the year 2030.
Globally, there is an acute shortage of health workers, especially in the nursing workforce. Some estimates say that the extent of shortage is up to 5.9 million nurses globally. But this problem is exaggerated by the fact that a large proportion of these shortages exist in the low and middle income countries. And some estimates say that 50% population of the world enjoys the services of 80% nurses.
India too falls short of the WHO recommended rate of 3 nurses per 1,000 population. With 1.7 nurses per 1,000 population on a normal working day, the country needs 4.3 million more nurses by 2024. To make matters worse, a spike in migration has left India facing one of its worst shortages of nursing staff in recent years, despite recording a 2-fold increase in capacity in the last decade.
6 जनरल पेशेंट जो है जो ठीक ठाक मतलब मेडिसिन में
One nurse should ideally take care of 6 patients in the general ward. However, in reality, one nurse has to look after 60 to 70 patients. In such a situation, it becomes difficult to do full justice to every patient. The nurses like to leave the country and go abroad in the hope of better compensation and working conditions.
1-2 साल एक्सपीरियंस लिया और बाहर अप्लाई किया और चलेगा.
According to me, it is because we've not really given much importance for nursing and we don't have adequate colleges spread evenly across all the states. So you do have in Kerala an excess of nurses, maybe even Tamil Nadu, but you have a huge and acute shortage in UP or Bihar or in the northern states or many other parts of the country. So even this word of shortage has to be seen state-wise. But overall for the country, yes, there is a shortage because we haven't given it the priority that we ought to. We all know that there should be 3 nurses to a doctor. So if we have 1 million doctors, we ought to have 3 million nurses, which we don't have. And largely because we haven't really invested in nursing as a profession.
The health authorities might acknowledge that nurses are an asset to the healthcare system and hospitals. But when it comes to providing recognition or basic facilities, the nurses' demands often go unheard. It doesn't, however, dampen the indomitable spirit of the nurses as they continue to raise their voices for equitable rights, demonstrating protests across the country at different times.
After putting a lot of effort and after putting a lot of hard work, we are getting not a respectful or means peaceful word from others. That is very painful for us.
You will see a lot of inconsistencies in both in private and public sector, where the nurses are short in number. And so what this leads to is huge long working hours, less availability of leaves. And if you are doing that 12 hours a day, 10 and 11 hours a day, 7 days a week, and then you are not fully compensated and your needs are not taken care of, it will take a toll on your emotional and psychological health.
भाई आपको जवाब आना चाहिए, अगर आप सिर्फ यस सर करके चलते रहोगे.
We educate the nurses to stop being a yes man. They are not inferior to anyone. We tell them to never ignore patients, but they must also stand up for their rights.
मैंने नर्सेस को ये सिखाया कि गुलामी नहीं करनी है, अपना मरीजों के साथ बेईमानी नहीं करनी, मरीजों का पूरा काम करना और किसी के वो आगे झुकना नहीं है, जो अपना राइट है उसके लिए खड़े हो.
The nurses claim they don't let such disruptions hamper their daily work. It is this group of healthcare workers that carried on in the very challenging times like the COVID-19 pandemic, with little or no extra resources. They are always seen on the front line, rendering selfless service to save the lives of patients while risking their own.
I walked in by myself, checked myself in, and was immediately seen by my coworkers and my doctor, or a doctor there in the emergency room. At that point, I literally had an emotional breakdown. All of the strength that I had been using to keep myself from falling apart was gone. I burst into tears. I was just a mess. I was so emotional and upset. I felt like I was completely defeated. I felt like a total failure for having exposed myself to this environment, for having contracted the illness. And now I'm, potentially sharing it with my family, with my coworkers. I was devastated.
Being a community hospital, we have a lot of novice nurses that don't have years of experience, and even the nurses who have years of experience have never seen this before. Being a novel illness, it is things we've talked about for years, the fact that emerging infections are a risk for our communities, but I don't think as much as we've talked about pandemic planning that anybody thought it would be to this level and really hit home the same way that it has.
We have estimated that for a 7-hour shift, about 40 to 50 minutes are used for dressing alone. In terms of hand washing and decontamination, it can take about 60 to 75 minutes per day.
Honestly, at work there hasn't been as many difficult moments as there has been outside the hospital. As soon as people know that you work on the coronavirus dedicated hospital, people get some kind of a phobia, as if you are the coronavirus itself. So they keep their distance, but for me, it's very normal. I know all the precautions I'm taking and how safe the place that I'm working at is.
Safe وأنا safe أكتر منهم أكيد.
The visibility of nursing and midwifery profession was very much visible during the COVID-19. I am getting a n number of incidents how nurses and midwives have saved the lives, because they were only people available to the patient in the where their kith and kins and even they were not available. There is enough evidence which is available how nurses have taken care of their selfless service, and especially during COVID-19.
Despite the significant role of nurses in the healthcare sector, they remain undervalued. A joint report published by the UK's Royal College of Nursing and Oxford Brookes University claims this is happening because the profession is and has historically been a female-dominated occupation. In most countries, the nursing community has yet not been included in the policy and decision-making processes. The situation is grim in India too. Many nursing posts lie vacant across the country.
College of Nursing है, उनमें भी बिल्कुल faculty नहीं है.
There is a shortage of faculty members in the College of Nursing. The nurses from the clinics who have medical degrees like BSc and MSc are asked to go and teach in the college. This leads to a further scarcity of nurses. Clinical nurses teach at these colleges while the posts of faculty members remain vacant.
So I think the first thing is the government has to set the tone in ensuring that in all government colleges to start with, and that will carry on to others also, every committee, every that we constitute at the departmental level and at the institution, that we include nurses as members of the committees, and in the ministry itself, upgrade the post of a nurse. Head of the nurse should be nothing less than an additional DG or and the hospital, they must have definitely, if not the director, because that may be a bit radical, but at least a second senior most post of an additional director should be held by a nurse. So that raises their stature, if I may put it that way.
Kerala's greatest export are our nurses. They're making their mark felt, not just across our country, but across the globe as well. During this pandemic, they've been toiling to save our lives. On this International Nurses Day, we salute each and every one of you. This is a tweet from last year, shared by the Chief Minister of the Indian state of Kerala, Pinarayi Vijayan. According to the Indian Nursing Council, of the 2 million registered nurses in India, 1.8 million are from Kerala. The state has the maximum number of registered nurses in India, and they can be found all over the world. But these nurses are leaving the country in droves. In a study by the WHO, it was revealed that over 30% of nurses who studied in Kerala work in the UK or the US, 15% in Australia, and 12% in the Middle East.
This is one area where I do feel the government should act very quickly and positively. We have been lax at it. In fact, it's not that, the worst nurses who can't get employed are going. It is our best nurses, the toppers, who are really leaving and going to Middle East and to other countries, largely because they are recruitment firms who stay here, teach them English, and take them off to US and UK. And Middle East, the countries come here and recruit all the toppers from all our best nursing colleges and pay very, very well. In fact, they not only pay well, but they give advance money to those parents. And most nurses come from low middle class families as a rule, or middle class and not for the wealthy families. So money is a very, very big factor. And once they go, they find the working conditions are also good.
The migration from India is spurred by attractive job offers from other countries. Nurses in the private sector are migrating abroad because they seek financial security and enhanced livelihood prospects. What can be done to attract more new nurses and prevent current workers from migrating? The answer is simple. The country needs systematic changes that value nurses and offers them a safe place to work. Beyond the dismal pictures of the issues plaguing the nursing profession, there is still hope for a better tomorrow. Rusha Shrista grew up seeing her mother donning the uniform of a nurse and going to the hospital every day. Inspired by her mother, Rusha entered the field, believing that compassion is the foundation of the nursing profession. Today, Rusha is a staff nurse with a leading hospital in New Delhi.
Growing up, my father would always say that you are very kind, do a profession wherein you can use it. So I wanted to become a doctor, but due to financial and other crises, I couldn't. And for me, it was like I am a people person and I like talking and interacting with people. So whenever I go to bedside, because I'm a bedside nurse, so whenever I go to interact with the patients, and at the end of the day, when they're healed and when they're going back, they always give blessings and they're like, "Beta, thank you so much for helping us all through the whiles," because they see how much we help them and they see how much we've been with them, and then we're not only helping them with their physical healing, but also some emotional healings, because at hospitals they're alone.
Rusha's senior, Bindu Joseph, had worked with a hospital in Kuwait for a few years before she decided to return to India to serve her fellow citizens. As a nursing supervisor with the hospital, she tries to assist her patients in every possible way, till they are up and about again.
We have to run a lot of way to save one person's life with a great effort. And after taking this much of effort, sometime patient will come back to their normal life. Most of the time they will come back to their normal life. And when they are saying with a tear of drops, thank you sister, you saved my life, that is the great moment. This is happening frequently, and this is giving a inspiration to work more hard and hard.
Uniting nurses from across the country, understanding their difficulties and improving their conditions are essential to building a healthy nation. And some organizations are doing just that and much more, aiming to develop nursing as a vital, respected and well-paid career.
We have achieved a lot, like providing accommodation. The central government facilitated in getting 413 residential apartments built for nurses in Srinivaspuri in New Delhi. After this, others also started doing it. As of now, 99% of nurses don't have any accommodation-related problems.
I think government has realized the principle of the World Health Organization recommendation of how to attract for nursing, how to retain for nursing. So in this perspective, Government of India worked very hard with the pay commissions, and the pay packet for a staff nurses in a government sector in central government is something like rupees 65,000 per month.
To strengthen the profession further, these nursing and midwifery organizations have come together to launch #NurseMidwife4Change. It is a campaign aimed at creating awareness about their roles and reinforcing their contribution to the healthcare system of the country.
This campaign is just trying to bring up the facts into the collective conscience of our society, all of us, that is, of the importance of this profession.
Nurses have come a long way. They have fought their way to command recognition, better remuneration and a conducive working environment. But there's a lot more that still needs to be done.
We just need to respect the profession much more. And we do have a very, like we have the caste system in the medical sector also. The doctors are on the top, they're the Brahmins. And, they don't necessarily see the nurse as a partner in patient care. So I think there is a mindset change that is required to treat the multi-sectoral teams on a much more equal footing than they are right now.
This International Nurses Day, let's take a moment to thank the nursing community for being there. And let them know that they are valuable, not just to the hospital they work in, but to society at large. Because a world without nurses is unimaginable.